At this time, I call to order the Campbell County Board of Education regular meeting for January the 10th, 2022, 6 o'clock p.m. here at the Alexandria Educational Center in Alexandria, Kentucky. First item is to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the agenda as presented.
Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time, we ask everyone to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance and our mission statement.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Campbell County School District, in partnership with students, staff, parents, and community, is to do whatever it takes to ensure student success in college, career, and life.
Thank you, Ms. Polgears. Next item would be our board recognition.
I'd like to invite Ms. Polgears to please make a statement, if she would.
An excellent public school system is vital to the quality of life in this community and fundamental to preserving a strong democratic society now and in the future. The people of this community have elected Ms. Janice Winbigler, Ms. Kimber Fender, Mr. Rich Mason, Mr. Joshua Perkins, and Ms. Peggy Schultz to provide leadership to advance teaching and learning in Campbell County schools. These elected individuals balance community resources, tax revenues, and district expenditures, all to provide access to world-class educational opportunities for our children. These leaders support professional development for all employees who impact teaching and learning, whether in the classroom, the facilities, cafeterias, buses, and offices. These fellow citizens of our community work within the restrictions of state and federal mandates while setting visionary guidance to move this school system forward. All of us here in Campbell County express appreciation to these members of the Campbell County Board of Education, and in doing so urge all residents of our community to join in honoring these public servants for their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Polgears. And I would like to also note that each board member in front of them should have cards that have been provided by kids throughout the district to help commemorate Board Appreciation Month. I'd also like to ask Ms. Wise to help me hand out a little token of our appreciation as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We all appreciate everything, all the support that we receive, and for all of those students, I know we can't respond to every one of them, but I do want you all to know that those packets that we get with the thank yous from the students, sitting on the couch and reading those, it just makes our evening, and we talk about that, and all of us have said, you know, I love getting these, because you can sit there, and if you're having a bad day or whatever, and you start reading that, it reminds us why we do what we do up here. So thank you very much, and especially for having your students provide those for us. They're greatly appreciated. Next item would be our stars. Ms. Polgears.
We would like to congratulate the Campbell County High School cheerleading squad for their regional championship and their 4th place finish at the KHSAA state competition. The squad members are Ella Banton, Emily Barnett, Bailey Bramall, Jordan Brooks, Sydney Brooks, Elena Connor, Lauren Dance, Genevieve Guyman, Jessica Hart, Allison Hostine, Leah Hostine, Ava Heisler, Cassandra Johnson, Addison Markham, Ava Marcus, Kayleen Peebles, Hannah Phillips, Lucy Roll, Ashlyn Rust, Alyssa Sainer, Kylie Schultz, Jaslyn Simon Cook, Skylar Steffen, Kylie Tester, Kennedy Thompson, Kirsten Tobias Pemberton, Ashley Walter, Emily Walter, Kirsten Yost, and our coaches include head coach Stephanie Newman and the assistant coaches Caitlin Brown, Jacob Lawrence, and Ashley Rust. Congratulations to that team. And last, we would like to congratulate the Klein Elementary STLP team, who won at the regional level competition, and they will be advancing to STLP State on April 20th, 2022. Klein's STLP coach is Ms. Jill McGlone, and we are very proud of these team members. Sawyer Lena, Maddie Pratat, Simi Patel, Celia Scott, Graham Gilbert, Nate Kaler, Parker Thies, and Annabelle France. Congratulations and best of luck to those students. And that concludes our stars for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Polgears. Next would be the communications part of our agenda. First being audience comments. We have none. Next would be our superintendent comments. Superintendent Rust.
Yes, Madam Chair, just a few things. First of all, I would like to continue our theme of appreciating the board here in January on Board Appreciation Month. The community doesn't know, but behind the scenes, the board works very hard to make sure that we've got a operational and very successful school system. And the last 2 years have been more difficult to sit on the board than in most years. And I just want to thank them for their service. I know the community appreciates their work. In addition, I would also just like to mention a few minor changes that I put in my note last week regarding our quarantine guidelines. As you may have seen, the CDC change those quarantine guidelines and reduce it from the 10-day to a 5-day with some different governing factors. And I would like to encourage folks to get on our website and check that out as those have changed. Also, just want to also make folks aware that test and stay is still available for students, and I know that our incident rate has been increasing. We've been watching that in addition to the attendance rate and our teacher attendance rate as well. But right now, the staff are able to go. It has been tricky in some buildings, and our goal is to try to make sure that we're able to provide quality service to our kids in person every day. So we're going to continue to do that. And the third thing I want to mention tonight, and this is very, very exciting, and I'm going to require the help of the community with this. I'm pleased to announce that House Bill 1, which is the state initiation of a budget bill for this year, dropped last week, and included within it was an allocation, a proposed allocation of almost $9.1 million of state money to help subsidize the construction of a new Grand Slick Elementary. So very, very excited about that. Now, just because it's in the bill doesn't mean that it'll come to pass, but this is the bill from the House, and so that's very important. It's not the governor's budget, it's not the Senate's budget, it's the House's budget. And as many of you know, the appropriation bills and the budget does originate with the House. So that's a very important piece of information. In addition to that, they did recommend an increase in SEEK, which is the state funding, the per pupil dollars that helps support education from the state level, to increase it from $4,000 to $4,100 next year and to $4,200 the following year, with also the desire to fully fund full-day kindergarten over the course of the next biennium as well. So some very important financial pieces and budgetary pieces in House Bill 1. And I would just like to ask the community to help me advocate for passage of those things. We want to make sure that those things don't come out of the language of the budget bill. So just very, very excited about that, particularly with Grand Slick Elementary. We've been working on getting that into the budget bill for the last couple of years. Glad to see it in print, and we just need to get it across the finish line. So pretty excited about that. And then again, I would also like to congratulate the STLP team from Klein Elementary and also our cheerleaders who did such a nice job at the end of the fall semester. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Next item would be our board member comments. Board members?
Thank you for the cards and the gifts. It's really not necessary, but it is nice to receive those. And as Ms. Winbigler said, it's fun to read the cards from the students and see what they have to say and how they view the board and the school system as a whole and what they write. They're really very cute and fun to see.
Just thank you so much. We should be probably giving things to you all, like they give to us, for all the appreciation and what you've gone through these last couple of years too. So thank you.
Just to echo, yes, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. I'd also like to take this time to appreciate my fellow board members and to thank you all for the support that I receive as the chair and everything that we do, and it's greatly appreciated, the support that I receive from you all. Next item would be our personnel actions. The board accepts those as submitted. Next would be our written communications and reports, which includes our SBDM minutes, our Frisky reports, our homeless services report, our pupil personnel report, the public relations report, the report of donations, the school-related field trip notifications, which includes the field trip reports for athletics and the field trip reports for transportation. Also, the 2022-23 draft budget. Next item would be our action agenda. First item being the Board of Education meeting schedule for 2022.
Madam Chair, so the first item, I think my speaker's on. First item is the recommendation for the Board of Education regular meeting dates for the coming calendar year. Board Policy 01.42 reads that at a meeting in January, the board shall adopt a schedule of regular meetings for the calendar year, identifying the date, time, and place of each meeting. Rescheduled regular meetings shall be noticed and held as special meetings. In addition to regularly scheduled board meetings, the board can call a special meeting when applicable. When this is done, discussion is limited to only what is on the agenda. The board may also schedule board retreats or workshops when necessary. When this is done, training occurs on various topics. No voting or decisions are made at those retreats or workshops. All meetings will be held as recommended on the third Monday of each month, unless otherwise noted, at 6 p.m. In the months which possess a fifth Monday as needed. Meetings will be held at the Alexandria Educational Center at 51 Orchard Lane in Alexandria, Kentucky. So a couple things included for board members. We have a draft schedule of meetings to occur. A couple things I want to draw your attention to. The one thing I do want to recommend that is not noted on here that I think I would like to have considered is the on the list, the October 17th meeting. That occurs the day after we return back from fall break, which also means the agenda would have to be completed, and we'd have to have the agenda review during the preceding week. And I'd like to ask to amend the recommendation to include the October meeting on the 24th of October, which gives us just a little bit more time to get that ready and to try to hope not to impede the fall break of both board members and the administrative staff that will be working to put that together. You'll also note that there's a couple of other fifth Mondays of months that fall at weird times. So May 30th is a fifth Monday, but that is also Memorial Day. So that is not on the calendar. Instead, what is on there is a meeting on April 25th, which, as you know, we usually have a second meeting in April to discuss tentative budget, which is always it has to be approved in May, and also the last of the staffing recommendations and any add-ons that need to be done. So that was added in for your consideration. And then also, October 31st is a fifth Monday as well. And I did not include that, as that will be Halloween. So that is not included on there as well. But otherwise, the calendar as recommended is there presented for you to see. Again, the only change I would recommend beyond that is to change the October 17th, 2022 meeting to October 24th, 2022. And then additionally, just for the community's knowledge, what's also included on here is the President's Day meeting. President's Day falls on the third Monday, and so I've recommended that we hold that meeting on Tuesday rather than Monday because of President's Day, since offices are closed and it is a federal holiday. And that rather than moving that up or back, just having it on the Tuesday. And then again, the same thing on the MLK Day next January. Instead of trying to hold it the week right after we get back from winter break, to go ahead and have it the Tuesday after MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day, instead of trying to do it, obviously that's a federal holiday as well, so instead of having it on MLK Day, and instead of moving it forward a week to right after winter break, to go ahead and have that on the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day. So those are the items of note. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So with those changes, we'll take out some of the bold under there where this is the first day back from fall break. If we
That was just
change
for
that,
you.
that'll be out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those items in yellow will actually be taken out of what's
Okay.
published to the public. That was for your information.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? With no questions or comments, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the Campbell County Board of Education 2022 regular meeting schedule as presented, with the exception of the amending of the October meeting from October 17th to October 24th, 2022.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Ms. Swinbigler is yes. Our second item is the 2021-2022 capital funds request.
Yes, Madam Chair, a capital funds request form is required to be submitted when a district is requesting use of restricted capital funds for a buildings and grounds project that is not considered a major renovation as defined in 702 KAR 4:160. We are requesting to use capital outlay funds for BG number 22-260, which is Campbell County Schools paving for the summer of 2022, which is considered a minor project. As a result, we must seek approval from the Kentucky Department of Education to utilize these funds for that purpose. Boards of Education are required to approve the use of funds as submitted to KDE on a capital funds request form. For fiscal year 2021-22, the following restricted capital funds are available as follows. We have $472,456 in the current capital outlay seek money. We have $123,384 in prior year carryover to the capital outlay. And we have $4,690,706 in the current year building fund, which is funded with our nickels. And our prior year building fund carryover in the amount of $576,361, which gives us a total amount of capital funds available of $5,862,907. We do have $3.6 million that we have to commit to debt service. We have a little over $645,000 committed to capital funds, which leaves a total capital funds available of $1,517,889. And the request we'd like to make for the projects that we've noted would be in the amount of $423,598, which would give us a remaining capital funds balance of $1,094,291. Attached is a capital funds request form that's to be submitted to the Kentucky Department of Education for approval.
This would be for the paving for Klein, Riley, and the high school?
I believe that is correct,
And
yes.
this is for this is in our rotation?
Yes, ma'am.
For our paving. Any other questions or comments from the board? With no further questions or comments, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the 2021-22 capital funds request form as submitted.
Board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
And Ms. Swinbigler is yes. Next item would be BG number 21-166, the Campbell County Schools roofing for the AEC, and BG number 21-152, Campbell County Schools flooring, which includes Klein and Riley, and this would be the BG4.
Yes, Madam Chair, these are both BG4s, which are the contract closeout forms for both the projects you mentioned, one being Campbell County Schools roofing project. The original contract was for $344,500. We had $19,940 in change orders for a total construction cost of $364,440. And for the Campbell County Schools flooring project, the original contract was for $296,000. We had $4,775 in change orders for a total construction cost of $300,775. These projects, as I mentioned, have been completed, and we are looking to close them out.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? With no questions or comments, Superintendent Rust, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the BG4s for the Campbell County Schools roofing project at the AEC and the Campbell County Schools flooring projects at Klein and Riley as presented.
Board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval of both BG4s.
Is there a second?
I'll second those.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Ms. Winbigler is yes. Next item would be BG number 22-294, the Campbell County Middle School renovations. This is an initial BG1.
Yes, Madam Chair, so this project is for the renovation of the front entrance for Campbell County Middle School. This new entrance plaza will improve ADA accessibility through the installation of new entrance ramps. It will also improve safety and security through the replacement of door frames, doors, and hardware. It will allow the building to have more secure vestibule with improved access controls. It will replace and add entrance sidewalks and steps, windows, weather canopy, and signage. In addition, this project will also include school facility repairs and improvements to assist with the reduced risk of virus transmission and exposure to environmental health hazards, and will help support student health through restroom renovations, window, door, and hardware replacements, and the replacements of 2 boilers. This is at a projected cost of $6,199,413. We're recommending this to be funded through general fund allocation of $1,053,742 and through the ARP ESSER stimulus money of $5,145,670. I do want to note that $56,070 has been deducted from previous architect engineer fees paid for the Campbell County Middle School front entrance plaza project BG number 20-111, which had been carried forward.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
The general fund monies had already been put aside for this from the original project that we started back in, I think, 2020, because that's the number on the BG. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is. Those funds have been restricted. We've been holding them to do this project.
Do we know the scope yet of, like, are we going to get to all the restrooms in the middle school?
Yes.
That's the plan?
All the restrooms, all the doors, all the windows, locks, security hardware. Mr. Crumman, Mr. Hayes, do you have any addition you'd like to add to that? But yes, the goal is to do them all.
Only thing I would add is that we're meeting on the 31st. We have a special work meeting on 31st, and you're actually involved with the ordinance and something you all on the 31st.
And I know we need to come back and talk about
The front entrance.
scope and then the
Yeah.
actual, what it looks like.
That was
Make
going to be
sure-
my next question. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
finalize the look of it, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? With no further questions or comments, Superintendent Rust, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the initial BG1, number 22-294, for the Campbell County Middle School renovation as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Ms. Winbigler is yes. Our next item is BG number 22-259, the Campbell County Middle School roofing 2022, and BG number 22-260, the Campbell County Schools paving for 2022. This is the AIA standard form of agreement between the owner and architect.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is the AIA standard form of agreement between the owner and the architect for those two projects, as you mentioned, the Campbell County Middle School roofing and the Campbell County Schools paving project for this summer. The AIA document is a standard form of agreement between the owner and the architect for use on school construction projects administered by the District Facilities Branch of the Kentucky Department of Education, where the basis of payment is a fixed price. The BG1 for these projects were approved on December 13th of 2021.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
This is just the next step in that process to get these projects going.
Yes, ma'am.
With no further questions or comments, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the AIA standard form of agreement between the owner and architect for BG's number 22-259, Campbell County Middle School roofing 2022, and BG number 22-260, Campbell County Schools paving 2022, as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Winbigler is yes. Our next item is the new Campbell County Middle School. Award the RFP for architectural engineering services.
Yes, this project consists of constructing a new middle school that meets the Kentucky Department of Education's model program by renovating a current building structure and site. The new middle school will serve approximately 500 to 600 students. The project will include full site development, coordination with city, county, and state agencies. For large projects with a construction budget that is larger than $1 million, the Board of Education must solicit proposals for design services. Campbell County Schools advertised on the district website and posted advertisements in the newspaper. The firms are required to complete the Campbell County Schools Architects Request for Proposal form issued on December 9th of 2021. Two firms inquired and requested RFP information. Two firms submitted proposals to be considered. The architect engineer qualifications are these. They must be knowledgeable of current applicable statutes, regulations, and codes related to educational building projects in Kentucky. Must maintain professional liability insurance with minimum coverage as stated in the appropriate AIA document B101-2007, standard form of agreement between owner and architect. KDE version or AIA document B132-2009, standard form of agreement between owner and architect, construction manager as advertiser edition, KDE version required by 702 KAR 4:160. C, the ability to prepare and submit to appropriate state and local approval agencies all necessary documents in proper form and in a timely manner. D, the architect of record must directly employ personnel in-house to perform at least 75% of architectural project document preparation and 100% of the architectural work of the construction administration work. The qualifications for each firm was reviewed along with previous project experience, project organization, ability to complete previous projects within budget and on time, current workload, construction management experience, experience working with the Kentucky Department of Education, the company's overview, including organization and litigation, references, and the ability to communicate well with the school district. This determination was made from simply viewing the request for proposal information provided by each prospective design team. The qualifications for all firms were reviewed along with previous project experience, project organization, ability to complete previous project within budget and on time, current workload, construction management experience, experience with KDE, company overview, references, and the ability to communicate well with the district. This determination was made from a simple review of the request for proposal information provided by each design team. Robert Emmert Hayes and Associates was the highest rated firm as measured via the published RFP criteria rubric. They have more experience in working with Kentucky Department of Schools and the Kentucky Department of Education on facility projects. They also have previous experience working with Campbell County Schools. They offer flexibility with sub-consultants for the project and come highly recommended by other Kentucky school districts. You can see as listed the overall ranking criteria weight for the subsections to be scored. And then there's also a rubric of of the scores from the two submittals that were received by the school district.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? With no questions or comments, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend the award of the request for proposal for a new Campbell County Middle School to Robert Emmert Hayes and Associates as the architect-engineer firm as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
And Ms. Swinbickler is yes. Our next item would be the Campbell County Middle School Renovations Award, the RFP for the architectural and engineering services.
Madam Chair, just like the previous item, I'm not going to read through all the qualifications, and it's the exact same criteria and same process was made to, or conducted to request RFPs for the architecture and engineering services for the middle school renovation. The same two firms submitted a proposal and were scored in a similar fashion as presented to you in the rubric. And we would again like to recommend the request for proposal to Robert Emmert Hayes and Associates as the architect and engineer firm.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
The difference between these two is this is for the renovations of the
Right.
existing middle school. The first one was for renovating the DAV building, should that come to pass. finally.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you for the clarification. Two
It's a
very
little
large middle school projects we're proposing right here.
Any other questions, comments, or clarifications?
It was just a little confusing to see them back to back. Yeah.
With no further comments, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend the award of the request for proposal for Campbell County Middle School, the current Campbell County Middle School renovation to Robert Emmett Hayes and Associates as architect engineer firm as presented.
Board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Ms. Swinbickler is yes. Our next item is the contingent sale of the Silver Grove Board of Education.
Yes, Madam Chair, as part of the school merger, or at least us taking over Silver Grove Independent School District, the Campbell County Board of Education took ownership of the former Silver Grove Board of Education building located at 108 West 3rd Street in Silver Grove, Kentucky. On May 17th, 2021, the Board of Education requested approval from the Kentucky Department of Education to surplus this piece of property. Kentucky Department of Education approval was granted on July 22nd of 2021. The district has worked to meet the disposal guidance outlined by KDE by setting a minimum acceptable price, which is at least the fair market value of the property. For property disposal, by setting a minimum acceptance price, the minimum acceptance price shall be the fair market value, which shall be determined by an appraisal from a certified general real property appraiser commissioned by the school district and obtained in connection with the disposal of the property. The district consulted with the board attorney to select a realtor to assist with the listing, advertisement, and the purchaser offer in addition to having the appraisal done. The Board of Education shall submit the following documentation to the Kentucky Department of Education for review and for final approval of the disposal of the property. A, the appraisal itself. B, the proposed sale agreement reviewed and approved by the board's attorney. And C, the local board order approving the sale contingent on approval by the Kentucky Department of Education. Upon receipt of the written final approval from the Kentucky Department of Education, the Board of Education may execute the sale agreement. The district shall provide the Kentucky Department of Education with a copy of the executed agreement within 30 days from the date of execution. And what I would like to offer for you for review is the offer for the purchase of the property. $75,000 is the offer with a realtor cost of $4,500 for an expected net profit to the school district of $70,500.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I believe in your paper copy, those attachments are there, but they do not seem to be in the e-meeting portal. So there are a couple places where it says see attachments, but as I'm scrolling, maybe it's in a separate document. I'm sorry. At least the contract to purchase is there, but I don't see the appraisal is.
It was not there.
Yeah. And I don't see the KDE approval included in the e-meeting portal either, but assuming that those,
That's because I believe, and Mr. Kerman, correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing the board's being asked to approve tonight is the contract.
Yes, that is correct. The contract is actually a separate link, it looks like, in the portal.
it is, there are just two places in the memo that say see attachments that are not there.
Okay, the first one is the contract, and the other one probably was the letter, which the board has previously, I believe, received also.
Actually, the first one is the KDE approval, and the second one is the appraisal, the referenced in this memo.
They're referenced in the memo, but those are not the ones that are attached.
Correct.
The KDE letter is not attached.
I think it
I don't
might be
have
on
that
your
either.
paper copy.
No, it's not.
You don't have it either?
No. I do not.
So what was the appraisal amount?
$70,000 was the appraisal amount.
I just have the contract.
You just have the contract as well.
Yes.
So we do have the contract, but not the other two documents that are referenced in the cover memo.
Correct.
I don't know that we need them, I'm just mentioning that they're not there. So.
Would you like to see copies of those?
I think they should be added to that.
So
Since they're referenced with the memo, that they should be added to the portal.
the KDE approval letter and a copy of the appraisal. Can you get board members those copies?
Yes, ma'am, I have those. I can get those to Dr. Russ.
Okay. We can still go ahead and vote on the
Other
the
item,
contract,
yes.
on the contingent sale of that. Any other questions or comments? So those two documents, please provide those two documents for us, and with no other comments, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd recommend approval of the contingent sale of the former Silver Grove Board of Education building as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I will move approval of the contingent sale of the former Silver Grove Board of Education building.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes?
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Ms. Von Bigler is yes. Our next item is the USDA adult meal price formula.
Yes, Madam Chair, as has been, typically happens from time to time, we have to approve a change in the formula for meal pricing. With school districts operating USDA's seamless summer option, reimbursement rates change each January. A change in the rates requires an adjustment to the adult meal price for both breakfast and lunch. USDA requires the adult meal prices be established based on the following formula. The highest reimbursement received for a free meal plus the current per meal value of donated commodities. This amount is then typically rounded up to the next quarter dollar. This makes meal transactions much simpler for all parties. For example, and this for the community's note as well, the highest reimbursement received for a free student breakfast is $2.47, plus the current per meal value of donated commodities at 26 cents equals an amount of $2.73. This would then be rounded to the nearest quarter dollar to $2.75. For lunch, the highest reimbursement received for student meals is $4.32, plus the current per meal value of donated commodities is 26 cents, equaling $4.58. This would get rounded up to the nearest quarter dollar of $4.75. Approving the use of the USDA's adult meal pricing formula to allow the price to be established without the board having to hear pricing changes every year or multiple times per year, depending on the USDA programs being operated. So at this time, we're recommending the modifying of the pricing formula up to the nearest quarter dollar based on those criteria.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
If I'm reading this correctly, in approving using this pricing formula, in the future, we would not have to review this, but instead the price would be changed in accordance with that formula each time.
Yes, ma'am, you read that correctly.
Any other questions or comments? With no further questions or comments, Superintendent Rust, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approving the use of the USDA's adult meal pricing formula rounded up to the nearest quarter dollar to establish the adult meal prices as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Bender?
Yes.
And Ms. Winbigler is yes. Our next item is the AEC Test Kitchen Agreement.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is an agreement between, this is a presented agreement between Campbell County Schools and the Phoenix Equipment Company for the installation of a test kitchen at the Alexandria Education Center. This test kitchen will allow for tremendous opportunities for the district's child nutrition programs. The agreement will allow Campbell County Schools to have a center for recipe development, new product testing, internal staff trainings, conducting catering activities, and to improve the overall quality of meals provided to students and staff of Campbell County Schools. Food service staff will have direct access to a professional chef training to learn proper cooking techniques while utilizing the most modern equipment available on the market. A test kitchen at the AEC will allow for additional revenues to be received through the district's food service fund. Once completed, the facility can be utilized to offer surrounding districts, both in Northern Kentucky and in Southern Ohio, opportunity to receive required USDA training. It will allow the food service department to offer catering opportunities for banquets, meetings, and events, both in the districts and in the community. Campbell County Schools will remove old equipment, provide necessary utility hookups, and cover final installation costs for the new equipment. That is projected a cost to be less than $10,000 and will be funded through Fund 51, which is the food service budget. Phoenix Equipment will provide new equipment, small wares, and professional chefs for training at no cost to the district. This agreement has been reviewed by the school board attorney and is attached. And I'd also like to invite Mr. Abbott and also with him Mr. Gardner and Mr. Smith from Phoenix, who may answer any questions you have and can greater elaborate on this fantastic opportunity. It's a one-of-a-kind opportunity that no other district has access to at this time.
Any questions or comments from the board?
How quickly would you anticipate the equipment being installed if this agreement is approved tonight?
Depends on how fast we can get the equipment out of AEC, which you guys are probably familiar with. That equipment not functioning for the most part at all. Very little equipment in there that is obviously of use to us at this point, but it depends on how fast we can get that stuff taken out and get any gas, water, electric stuff done. They already have the equipment ready. They're waiting on us. So, and I mean, you heard all the wonderful opportunities that's going to provide us as a district, but for them, they're ready for us to get the stuff out so they can get the stuff in. So we can make it happen.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
We'll also note that we have a pretty unique opportunity here that as they use this test kitchen, it's an opportunity for them to showcase new equipment, new kitchen equipment as it comes out in order to do these trainings and make it available for folks to see and buy. As they turn over equipment, it also gives us the opportunity to buy the outgoing equipment as they put new equipment in. So very lightly used equipment that's, we do have good equipment in our cafeterias now, but that may change. And I also think there's an opportunity for us to coordinate with our culinary arts department at the high school to upgrade their equipment as well over time. So it creates a really neat synergy I think we can take advantage of for both the food service staff in the district and also some future opportunities for our students to take advantage of as well.
Are there other such test kitchens that you all have established across the state in any other districts?
Not at this type. We utilize a couple in Madison County that has several pieces of our equipment that they've actually bought in various renovations and new builds that we invite folks onto. This would be very unique, not only in Kentucky, but quite honestly in the region, in this part of the country. There are very, very few that have this type of opportunity. As Phoenix Marketing goes, though, we do have other test kitchens. We have one in Indianapolis, and we have one in Pittsburgh currently, as well as working on a final location in Columbus, Ohio as well.
So what is your vision for this project?
Our vision is to basically help you guys, help the other districts, and obviously to do what we do, which is sell equipment, and showcase the equipment for folks to be able to purchase and see what's new in the marketplace.
And so, Mr. Abbott, this would allow us, similar to kind of what we do in transportation, and we provide training for other bus drivers from other districts. I know that there's a lot of training that also food service employees have to receive, and this would allow us to basically be an area for all of northern Kentucky to be able to provide those services for our neighboring districts also.
Absolutely. We've talked along with Phoenix Marketing, and I've discussed this with them, of course, and Mr. Drummond and Dr. Rust, the fact that Gordon Food Service are the largest in the nation's second largest food distribution company, is also looking very, very forward to this opportunity. They're willing to help us navigate that, where they're gonna really help with the new equipment side, keeping us new and fresh and what's going on with the new equipment that's coming onto the market. Gordon's has also committed to a partnership, not an official agreement of this type, of course, but a partnership where they are willing to supply their chefs and those kinds of things along with Chris, who is a chef, but also those new products that come on the market. They're willing to use us as that hub to help us always be fresh in our students' eyes and school food, and that's priceless in itself. Those doors that it opens are just tremendous.
And this has been reviewed by our attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments from the board? With no further questions or comments, Superintendent Rust, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the AEC Test Kitchen Agreement with Phoenix Equipment as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
And Ms. Winbigler is yes. Our next item is the 2022 fiber agreement.
Yes, Madam Chair, on June 30th, 2022, our current managed lit fiber contract will expire. Managed lit service is an E-rate eligible service. Therefore, we filed an E-rate Form 470 to request quotes for service from eligible E-rate approved service providers. The E-rate Form 470 included a full scope of technical service requirements. Managed lit fiber services provide the physical connections, all necessary cabling and connections, as well as maintenance and monitoring of equipment 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for network connectivity from each of our buildings to our data center. The connectivity between buildings is a hub and spoke design providing dedicated fiber connections between the hub or data center and the other building locations in our district. The Kentucky Department of Education provides the internet connection from the hub to Frankfort, Kentucky. Our current managed lit fiber service is provided by Cincinnati Bell Telephone, and it originates from our current hub site at the Alexandria Education Center to the following locations: with an upload and download speeds of 10,240 megabits per second. Klein Elementary, Crossroads Elementary, Campbell Ridge Elementary, Riley Elementary, Grand Slick Elementary, Campbell County Middle School, Campbell County High School, and Campbell County Transportation Facility. Service to other district buildings, including central office, McCormick, and central receiving, are provided via district-owned fiber connections and are not included in this service agreement. The current monthly cost for our managed lit service is $8,354.48. That's our current cost. The E-rate Form 470 requested 2 quote options for managed lit fiber service for a 5-year period to begin on July 1st, 2022, and to end on June 30th, 2027. Option 1 is to provide managed lit fiber service from our current hub site of the AEC to the following locations with upload and download speeds of 10,240 megabits per second: Klein Elementary, Crossroads, Campbell Ridge, Riley, and Grand Slick Elementaries, Campbell County Middle School, Campbell County High School, and Campbell County Transportation, and we also included Silver Grove School. Option 2 is to provide managed lit fiber service from a new hub site at Crossroads Elementary to the following locations with an upload and download speeds similar to what I just mentioned, and to all of those same locations. Option 2 will require the relocation of our data center from its current location at the AEC to Crossroads Elementary. This option was requested to determine if it would be feasible to move our data center to a location with a generator to provide backup power in the event of a power outage. It was determined that Crossroads Elementary would be the most suitable location due to its already having a generator capable to support the power requirements of our data center equipment, adequate space for the additional equipment, and is centrally located within the school district. Service to Silver Grove School was requested because we are now utilizing the building for school functions and having a fully functional network that will allow us to manage door controllers, camera systems, HVAC systems, and provide an internet connection, allows the district to better manage the building and increase its overall usability and functionality. Service to Silver Grove School was requested with a stipulation that this service may be eliminated if it is no longer necessary or desirable. No increase in upload or download speeds have been requested, as our current speeds are adequate for our current needs and are expected to support any future anticipated need for the life of the agreement. 2 bids were received and opened on Monday, November 21st, 2021 at 10 a.m. in the amounts noted below. You can see the notes for each of the 2 vendors and for both of the options that were presented. The attached contract has been reviewed by Mr. Jason Reed and determined to be legally suitable for execution. Once approved by the board, the contract will be submitted to KDE for its final approval, as is standard policy for all contractual agreements over $100,000. And so our goal would be to go ahead and approve the managed lit fiber contract to Cincinnati Bell for option 2 of those that were listed beginning on July 1. And I also would like for you to note, and for our community to note, that their bid comes in at a monthly cost for the next 5 years of $8,111.15. And again, this is cheaper moving forward than what we are currently paying, which is $8,354.48.
What is our E-rate reimbursement rate?
Currently, it's at 80%.
So does that monthly cost, we would receive an 80% reimbursement of that?
Correct. So we would pay the full price up front at the conclusion of the calendar, or the fiscal year rather, than we would apply for the 80% reimbursement.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
My only comment would be that perhaps in approving this, we should not specify option 2, but specify option 1 or option 2, just in the possibility that it turns out that option 2 is really not going to be a viable option for the immediate future, and it would give you the flexibility. Since there's no cost difference between the 2, it really doesn't make any difference in the approval of this.
I agree with that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the difference in the 2 options is moving the hub.
Its location, yeah, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with cost.
That way, if you get further into the investigation and find out that, oh, this actually is not the best choice, you can pull out of that and stay where we are and not have to come back to us for any changes.
And since Campbell they have conducted a fiber study, so from their end, everything is in place. But to your point, yes, if we get in the middle of this and we decide this isn't the best option, then we can have that flexibility. But they have conducted a fiber study. They do have the structure in place to support the move should we elect to do this.
Yeah, it's whether a move would be advantageous to us or not, and to your staff.
Correct, yeah.
Right now, that hub's pretty accessible.
Very convenient,
Be a little bit further away, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you need to access that hub quite often. Any other questions or comments? With that being said, Dr. Russ, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend the award of the managed lit fiber contract to Cincinnati Bell Telephone for either option 1 or option 2 to provide service beginning on July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2027 for a monthly cost of $8,111.15 as presented.
The board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I will move approval of that agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
Yes,
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Ms. Winbigler is yes. Next item would be our consent agenda, which includes the minutes, the addendum bills, the regular bills, the treasurer's report, the leave of absence request, and BG number 20-111, Campbell County Middle School front entrance to BG 5. Are there any questions regarding any of the consent agenda items? If not, Superintendent Russ, do you have a recommendation regarding the consent agenda items?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Board has heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fender?
yes,
And Ms. Winbigler is yes. Next item is an executive session per KRS 61.810, subsection 1B, property acquisition, and 61.810, subsection 1C, proposed litigation. Is there a motion from the board? All right, let me rephrase that. Executive session per KRS 61.810, subsection 1B, property acquisition, and 61.810, subsection 1Z, for proposed and pending litigation. Is there a motion from the board to enter executive session for those reasons?
so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
The board is now in executive session.
I had to laugh, everybody's putting on their coat.
there a motion from the board to come out of executive session?
I'll move we come out of executive session.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board is now out of executive session. Next item on our agenda is adjournment. Is there a motion from the board to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is now adjourned.